Hello and welcome. I'm Bill Pollock, Sports Director at Missouri Net, and this is our second in a series of Google Hangouts with the Missouri Department of Conservation. I'm trying my hand at hunting for the first time, and the Department of Conservation is helping. Now, on the first Hangout that we had, I took my hunter education course, passed, got my certification, and now we're on to the next step, which is getting the permits, going out to the range and practicing, getting the gun set up, and then finding the right clothes. And so we have three guests with us. We have Kyle Larimore, the Hunter Education Shooting Range Coordinator with the Missouri Department of Conservation, Brian Flowers, Outdoor Skills Specialist, and Jessica Moore. You saw her on the first Google Hangout. She is also trying hunting for the first time, and so we brought her back. She's going to help us with the clothing portion of this. She's got a pretty funny story, so we'll get to her in a couple of moments, and I think you'll enjoy that story. Kyle, I want to start with you. Let's talk a little bit about the permits, why they have to be purchased, the importance of knowing your limits, and that type of stuff. Let's just start with that.
Yeah, as a responsible hunter, it is your responsibility to make sure you have proper license. You educate yourself on the seasons, the limits, the species, whether many species may be you can only harvest a buck or a doe. The difference. It's just being a responsible hunter that's part of it, and make sure you're legal, and you harvest what you're supposed to be harvested.
Now, one of the places that I went to, and we'll show a little video here, was a place with the Missouri Department of Conservation, the Runge Center in Jefferson City. Where can people go and get their permits?
Well, you went to Runge, so any of our facilities and nature centers sell permits. We have a lot of vendors throughout the state that sell permits, but you can also purchase them online.
How will a new hunter know what to get? I mean, are there the volunteers at like the conservation offices? Can they help?
Right. They the volunteers know where to get the information, but also every spring and fall the department will print a regulations and information pamphlet. For example, the one that you can see in the video behind you with the deer on it, that's the fall deer regulations, and that will have everything you need to know from hunter ed to permits. All your questions that you asked will be in that pamphlet, including the cost of permits, the seasons, everything will be in that pamphlet. So grabbing one of those is a great resource.
Kyle, and that'll be one of the questions I think that people have when it comes to the deer hunting. What are the costs involved in getting the permits?
The resident firearms, any deer permit is $17. That will allow you to harvest either an antlered buck or a doe, but you also, for $7, you can get an antlerless permit, and that varies on the number of antlerless permits. So that's where it's important to make sure you study the regulations, because some years there'll be no antlerless permits, or some counties. So it depends on the population and the regulation they set on the antlerless side. But yeah, 17 for an any deer and 7 for an antlerless. That's for firearm season.
Do you have one of those? Do you have one of those pamphlets that people could pick up?
Yeah, I have one with me today. So this pamphlet here will have everything in it. On the back, it shows the seasons. They'll break it down. Everything is in this pamphlet. To explain the cost. You can get into archery. We haven't even discussed archery permits, the alternative methods. There's so many different seasons and methods that we're focusing on firearm season. But grabbing that pamphlet will definitely help with answering your questions.
That's good stuff. And you know what I would recommend too is even if it's out of season, when you just pick one of these up and read through it, because there's some good information and you'll have to go back on it. So Kyle, that's great information. We'll get back to you in a moment. Let's talk with Brian Flowers. Listen, now, before somebody just runs out and buys a firearm, I mean, there's some things that people need to take into consideration. Right,
Bill.
Shotgun, what type of rifle? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, we'll just use your circumstance as an example. You want to deer hunt, so I would ask any anybody that was looking to purchase a rifle, just ask them, what do you want to do with it? In your situation, you want to deer hunt. So I would recommend there are 4 calibers that stand out above most others as far as deer hunting calibers, and we're going to start with those. You can look at 270 caliber. You can look at and 308 Winchester. Those are 4 proven calibers. We'll start with those and then kind of work backward from those. But you also want to take into consideration your price point for a rifle, availability of ammunition, and just with the overriding goal that you're going to make a quick, clean kill of the animal. So you want to pick a caliber that's going to do that effectively.
And what is a good caliber? What is effective for a beginning hunter?
I would say any of those 4 that I listed are fine for whitetail deer. Of course, you want to take into consideration how far you would be shooting, things like that. That's the circumstance in the area that you're going to be hunting in. Those 4 calibers that I mentioned are all-time proven calibers for whitetail deer. If you're going to hunt larger game than whitetail deer, then we would look at a heavier bullet, a bigger caliber, most likely. But I would start with the caliber and work back from that. You can have rifles at all different price points, and certainly it's not necessary to go out and buy some expensive, fancy rifle to get your foot in the door as far as hunting for the first time.
All right, now you get your rifle and you're ready to go, but you can't just go out into the field. You have to go to the range, and you've got to do some things there to prep, to practice, but you also got to get your sight lined up. You talk a little bit about that, and then while we do that, Brian, I'll show, because I was out with Kyle and you, and we kind of did some of this stuff out on the range. So just explain what people should do before they go out into the field.
Right. A responsible hunter will always take time to practice and to sight in their firearm before the hunting season. Again, let me repeat that it's the hunter's responsibility to make that quick, clean kill and be as humane as possible in the taking and harvesting of the animal. So we want to do that as effectively as possible. We want to do that preferably with one shot. And so to do that, we want to make sure we know where that bullet's going to go. And we go to the range, and the Department of Conservation has many ranges all across the state that are available to the public. And we're going to take our rifle out there. We're going to shoot it from a bench, a sitting position, and make that rifle as steady on that bench as we can. And we're going to shoot that rifle. We'll start up fairly close to begin with to see where that rifle hits on paper. And once we get that rifle shooting on the paper, on the target, then we can start to adjust those sights and put that bullet right where we want it to go. Now, for those folks that are just starting out and purchasing their rifle, one of the first things that a lot of gun shops and gun stores will do for you is you'll hear the term bore sighting. And if you're putting a scope on that rifle, they can bore sight that rifle for you. And what that does, it just ensures that the scope is aligned with the bore of that barrel. And so that is suitable for getting the bullet on the paper at the range, but you still want to go through those fine adjustments on the range to sight it in. So you need to go take that one step further. Once you get the rifle sighted in, then we want you to practice with it. We want you to shoot, several times before the start of the season in order to ensure that bullet's going to go where you want it and to make that kill that you want.
Now, Jessica, I want to bring you in for a moment, too. Have you had an opportunity to sight your gun in? What was that like?
Yes, I have, and I think we spent an hour and a half trying to get it sighted in. I'm using a gun from one of our friends who is a conservation agent in Pike County, and he hadn't used the gun for a while, so it took some time to get sighted in, and I think that day it was almost 40 degrees out, so it was kind of cold, and it taught me a lot on how to actually adjust it to where I could get it sighted in, because I had never done that before. So it was a great learning experience for me.
And I think that's one of those things that people probably don't even think about, is you got to make sure that the gun is aligned up. I mean, as simple as it sounds. Brian, you talked about the ranges across the state. Those are free to folks.
Yes, Department of Conservation has many unstaffed shooting ranges all across the state. These are areas that are provided with shooting benches and backstops in a safe location that anybody can go out and sight in a rifle, practice with their rifle. There is no cost for using those. The department also manages 5 staffed facilities across the state. So we have 2 in St. Louis area, 2 in the Kansas City area, and 1 in Springfield. And those are more controlled ranges where there's a staff member on site there that will help you with your shooting and to kind of control the range. And they do charge a small fee for the use of those. But the Department of Conservation supports recreational shooting and hunting, and we do offer facilities for that.
That's good. So now, listen, if you're watching this and you're thinking, all right, all this information is getting thrown, listen, all of this information is on the website for the Missouri Department of Conservation. We have it at MissouriNet.com with our adult onset hunting section, so you can go back and read all this stuff, because I know we're throwing a lot of information at you, but it's all important information, things you need to know. One of the most important things before you go out into the field, you may hunt on a day when it's 70 degrees. You may go out in the morning when it's 28 degrees. And Jessica, one of the most fun things for me was going out and buying new equipment, getting the camo stuff. Share your story, because through all this, we started following each other on Facebook, and you had a hilarious story. Share your gear story for us.
Yeah, I took to social media over the weekend. I posted a picture of things that I had went and purchased. I thought the most important thing I purchased was some feet warmers, because I'm being told that it's going to be really cold on Sunday. I actually own nothing Hunter Orange or camo, so I had to go purchase those items. And I got lots of feedback telling me, layer your clothes, all the way from buying fragrance-free items like deodorant and shampoos to what kind of wool socks to buy. And I didn't know any of that, so I thought it was great. And I decided I would try on my layering, because that seemed to be an important topic for everybody, giving suggestions. And I get it all on, and I just look like a big fat marshmallow. And I can't get my own pants buttoned, so bless my husband, I go ask him for a pair of his pants to wear over mine. So when I went on Facebook, I said, I'm trying on my, layering, and I don't know how people move around in this stuff. And, I had to give a little shout out to my husband and apologize because I mentioned that I had put his pants on. But probably the most important thing I learned out of that was just go buy some coveralls, body warmers and coveralls. So my family has gotten a great laugh out of my experience, just watching me be excited and purchase these items and try them on. I'm trying to be a little fashion savvy. My husband keeps saying, why do you think you need to look cute out in the woods? And I don't. I mean, I'm coming to grips with that. I'm going to be mismatched and blown up like a marshmallow.
All right, now we don't have actual video of you trying this on, but so the best thing we can do is kind of like a reenactment, and it probably like the Christmas story here.
About the top.
What?
Yes.
What is it? Oh. What is it?
I can't put my arms down.
Was that you, Jessica?
Yeah,
that's you?
Me. Yeah, that was totally me. And my 12-year-old and my oldest daughter and my husband were all laughing at me. I mean, I could barely walk down the hallway with all of this stuff, and I had no idea how heavy the boots would be. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm really nervous. Very, very nervous.
I had the help of someone that is an experienced hunter and somebody that I work with, and her husband is actually Kyle's cousin. And I don't even know if you know this, Kyle, but yeah, so you talk about a small world. But anyway, he put together a list, and so we went. So we'll show some of that. But Kyle, what are some tips from you? You're an experienced hunter. What are some tips for people that they should think about when they go out?
Like Jessica said, layering. You don't know what the temperature is going to be. You may go out in the woods or into your stand, and it might be cooler, or you're going to be walking, so you don't want to have all your clothes on. So if you sweat and then you get cold because now you're you're wet. So you want to layer, because once you get in the stand, it may get colder. Obviously, for deer season, the requirement is hunter orange, orange hat, orange vest, just to be comfortable. I know when you're dressed as a marshmallow, you may be warm, but you may not be comfortable enough to actually shoot. So just be comfortable out there, stay warm, and obviously the warmer you are and the more comfortable you are, the longer you'll stay in the field and increase your chance of success. But just be comfortable and dress for the weather. Be prepared. It's better to be overly prepared than underprepared.
Brian, how important is waterproof? I was trying on some different hats and things. Brian, how important is that to be waterproof?
Well, it goes back to what Kyle said as far as being able to stay out in the field to increase your chance for success. If you're uncomfortable, you're not going to want to stay on that deer stand very long. So if you are running into a rain situation where it is misting, drizzling a little bit, that's very important. And like you said before, the layering is important, and that outer layer, a waterproof outer layer, this time of year, if you get wet, you are going to get cold. So we want you to stay out there as long as you can, so be prepared.
All right, great tips, everyone. And again, this is on the website for the Missouri Department of Conservation, MissouriNet.com. And so now we got through all this part now. Jessica and I are dressed. We've gone through everything. We've sighted in the guns. We're ready to hunt. And now on the next part of this series of Google Hangouts, you'll actually see my hunt and see what happens. I'm going to go with Kyle, and this should be an experience. Are you looking forward to it, Kyle?
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait. Deer season starts on Saturday, so we'll already be out in the field. You're going to show up on Wednesday, experience a little deer camp. We're going to jump in the blind, and yeah, hopefully we're successful. And the next Google Hangout, we get to see that. But no matter what, we're going to have fun. So,
Jessica, will you come back and share your experience with us too?
Oh, sure. I have no doubt that something crazy will happen to me. And maybe I'll have some fun pictures.
That'd be great. Yeah, bring them along. We'll share them. So, Brian, thanks a lot for joining us too. It was great to see you again.
You bet. Thank you, Bill.
All right. Thanks for watching us, and thanks for following us too. As Jessica and I, we learn how to hunt. We'll see what happens. Thanks for watching us.